Now, the 4 pieces are ready, which I showed you at the end of my last video. And I had a comment from one of my subscribers, Ian McLeod. I would imagine a Scotsman with that name. So I could try and put a Scottish accent on and say Ian McLeod, or something along those lines. And if that insulted you, Ian, I do apologise. He mentioned these little beasties. Now, these I saved. Don't ask me why, but I saved these from my car when I was taking it apart. They actually go inside here. And they weren't glued, but I think I'm going to glue them. You just push them in, just glue them down, and as Ian rightly said, this is kind of like a bit of sound deadening for Jaguar. There's lots of sound deadening. Now, I could put that kill mat in there, I suppose, but I think I'll just do these, glue them in. I mean, not that they're going to go anywhere. They're a tight fit, and in fact, there is even kind of like another layer in there that perhaps pushes against the side. I'm not sure. However, I'm going to glue them in. Got to bend them a little bit to get them in, but that'll be another little job. And then over here, I've got all sorts of screws, and in my evaporust here, I've got the original screws that held these little beasties, and I'm hoping they'll clean up because then I'll reuse them. I do like to try and reuse some of the original parts for the car, not things that are worn out, shall we say, but these pieces are certainly reusable. The screws will be reusable if they clean up nicely in the evaporust. So I try to keep, should I say, some of the originality. Doesn't always happen, like rubber seals and things like that, and tyres. No. Oh, and on that, a discussion with, come on, Dave of Classic Car Cave. When the people go on about, it's an original, same as it came out of the factory. Well, as Dave and I both agree, which we don't often, the tyres can't be original. Because for one thing, they'd be bloody dangerous. You can't drive, and that's what cars are for, driving. They're not for sitting on a fucking trailer. You buy them, you do them, you use them. Anyway, just a little thought, shall we say, that no car is 100% original. It can't be. And there is a particular gentleman that does E-type stuff who always goes and bangs on about it, a German fellow, and I can't think of his name. Because I don't watch him, I can't stand him. Right, now let's get on with some other stuff. It's dilemma time, but I have to make a decision, and unfortunately, I can't wait for your advice. I mean, you can shout at the screen if you like, but it would probably be a little bit too late. So I've got to now fold this underneath. There are 2 ways of doing it. One is to fold these edges in first. One is to fold this in first. So if I fold this in first, and then bring these in, that looks relatively neat, doesn't it? And obviously a little bit of trimming would be required. For one thing, when the bolt comes through, I want to be able to get to the other side of it. The other method, of course, would be to fold these in first, trim this, and then put that piece in. Now that gives me, I think, quite a neat edge there. Let's go back. Yeah, it kind of gives me a neater edge than these 2 lumps here. Ho, 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 decisions, incisions. Bolux. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be that way. So I guess I could probably just chop that across there. And then I'll only have a small piece left to tuck in, and it won't interfere with the bolt. Bernie the Bolt. Ooh, what program was that from? Bernie the Bolt. And who's the host? Or at least, who was one of the hosts? I want to say the famous comedian one. Who am I talking about? You see, this is such a wonderful channel. You get asked all stupid questions. So if I glue that first, and then glue that, that leaves me with this piece sticking out, those pieces nicely tucked out of the way. Still think, because I know I'm going to trim it, I might just chop that off there to make life simpler, less things to mess around with when I want to tuck this under. Now when I tuck it under, I don't want to cut it to back there, because then it'll have a nasty sharp edge. I want to get this nice folded edge. Like anybody's gonna see it. Unless they're in the foot while doing naughty things to me. Oh dear, and they better not be caring about this. Oh shit. I just can't help myself. Alright, let's get some glue. Right, I've done a little bit of trimming here. Now, first thing I want to do is glue these external flaps onto the inside and let them sit for a little bit. Then I'll deal with this piece. This is fun. Blind gluing. Yeah, I'm going a little crazy with the glue. I go crazy for you. Because I want to make sure I get it where I need it. And yes, some of it will drip onto the floor, and I don't care. How about that? Alright, let's just leave that now for a few moments to set, and then I'll come back and stick it, won't I? Wouldn't I? Yes, there's a naughty rhyme there, but I won't go into it, because you've heard it a million times before. Crap, I still got to get those wires done, haven't I? I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to get them to where I need to get them to. Sorry, I'm thinking again. Crap. I don't want to have to drill holes, but I might have to in order to get the cables through. Oh boy, this is going to be a challenge. Now, I might be able to take them straight down and through the middle of the car, and then bring them across. Either way, I've still got to cover the same distance, whether I come across to the rocker panel here, or the sill, as it's correctly called, and then up and into the boot. This is the speaker wires are not the problem. It is the control wire from the CD unit. And I will show you that in a little while, sometime during this video. So, you know, don't hold your breath. Right, now that's been sitting whilst I've been BSing. So let's now tuck this in good and tight. If it wasn't for those Germans, we would never get anything good and tight. Hey, Udo. And those of you that don't know, Udo is a fellow German. No, I'm not German. He's a fellow, he's a friend. And he lives, God, he lives in the cold Baltic. Ah, yuck poo. And I'm in the steaming hot Arizona desert. Anyway, if you're into XK8s, Udo's one of your guys. And he's a really nice guy. I have chatted with him many times. Personally never met him, but chatted with him many times. Why am I telling you this? Why not? He's a nice guy. He likes me, he must be a nice guy. Shut up. Right, I'm going to let that set now before I deal with this piece, which is going to have to be glued and clamped, and then I can cut the hole here. So we'll be back. Right, I've cut a hole in the top here for the bolt to go through. I tell you what, it's a real pain in the ass cutting this material. I wish there was a better way of doing it, but I'm not sure of that. Maybe I could mark it first, but I've already stuck them on, so that's not an option. You know, and punch it with one of my punches. However, that's not how it works. But I've got this tucked under now, and I've got the clamp on there, and hopefully that will make it look pretty nice. And I will, once the glue has set, show you. Okay, I've got to move on to do the others now, and then we'll come back with something a little more interesting. As you can see, there are clamps holding in the moquette on this side and over there. Yep, so those are now done. Just got to let them set. The rail supports are in. One word of warning, make sure you push this down at this point, otherwise they can be off. The nuts in here move, like my nuts, they move, and so do the ones there. So, you know, just put the screws in loosely to start with, and then what I did is I pushed this down as hard as I could and screwed those tight, and then just tighten these ones up. If you do these ones up first, you may not be able to pull this in that direction, which is obviously something you want to do. Okay, what is next? Ah, shit, it's the wiring, isn't it? Bollocks. Oh well. Get out my garage, Gary, do some shit, and it's called wiring. Yeehaw, they're done. Trimmed. I've got the holes through, ready for the bolts. Same on the other side. Next is to do that hose connection there, which means cutting that hose, taking it out, recrimping. So let me get on and do that, and then continue with the wires. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to run the wires down the other side there, up into the back seat and through a hole that's already there. Now, I don't think there's anything in that hole. Hang on a second. Sorry about that interruption. I was watching Adam of Living with a Classic, and it went onto a fucking commercial. No, not for Adam. I'm going to put the wires through that hole there. Unless any one of you comes up and says, Gary, you can't do that because... I can't think of a because at the moment. The rear seat attaches there. So We'll see. Also, I do have to do... Woo! No, that's not what you want. Fuck off. Yeah, that piece of vinyl there. Ew. That goes around. God knows how, but I'll deal with that. Right, now get out of the garage. Go do some shit.